Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us on this edition of News 2. Happy Friday. Topping our newscast, the Office of the Attorney General has announced another batch of arrests, this time related to the rigged property auctions that occurred between 2012 and 2013. The arrests include 2 businessmen operating in the territory and 2 individuals connected to the Virgin Islands government. News 2's April Knight has that story.
4 arrests have been made in connection with the 2012-2013 rigged property auctions within the Lieutenant Governor's office.
We allege that these 4 men conspired to cheat honest potential bidders out of a fair chance to bid on real property, many of whom are Virgin Islanders, merely trying to achieve the American dream of owning their first home.
Charged and arrested were business owners Edward McKenzie and Paul Sabers, the tax assessor's former chief enforcement officer Calford Charleswell, and Waste Management Authority's Sylvester Warner. In 2012, an illegal policy change allowed a manipulated bidding scheme orchestrated by a handful of bidders. They freeze the bidding process by bidding high amounts and then fail to pay the deposit. In the end, the property goes to an accomplice at a very low price.
We've gone after everyone involved in the scheme, from the blocker to the recipient of the properties.
Also involved in this scheme was former Internal Revenue Chief Louis Lolo Willis. Willis was most recently charged with defeating or evading taxes, fraud, and making false statements. Walker, however, said they have not charged Willis in this case. According to the Attorney General, the 4 arrests that were made are just the beginning. His team is currently working on other active investigations, and further arrests are likely forthcoming. Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
In other news, the Committee on Homeland Security, Justice and Public Safety, chaired by Senator Novell Francis Jr., met Thursday to discuss Bill number 31-0027. The bill defines assault rifles and criminalizes the unlicensed possession. It also eliminates the possibility for probation or parole. Claude Walker, the acting Attorney General, said the bill simply defines a particular class of weapon and then strengthens the penalty. He believes that anyone who possessed a rifle capable of rapid semi-automatic fire without proper license has only one purpose in mind: to make themselves a menace to our society, he says. He supports the bill and suggested some minor changes. It was voted out of the committee with a favorable recommendation and sent to the Rules and Judiciary. Well, on Thursday, police say at roughly 10:30 p.m., the 911 emergency call center received a call of a burning vehicle in Estate Betty's Hope in the vicinity of the former Texaco site. A secondary call was received by the call center at 10:37 p.m., citing a discharge of gunfire in the same area. Responding officers arrived at the location and located a white pickup truck fully ablaze. The Virgin Islands Fire Service arrived moments later and extinguished the fire, and a body was discovered inside the vehicle. The identity of the victim will be released once an autopsy has been performed and next of kin has been notified. Anyone with information concerning this homicide is asked to call the Criminal Investigation Bureau, 911, or Crime Stoppers. On Wednesday at 4 p.m., Moses Danette, 48, of Bolongo Bay, was arrested and charged with first-degree aggravated rape. Danette was taken into custody after investigation results revealed him as having been the individual who a complaint was filed against in reference to the sexual assault of a minor female that occurred in September 2015. No bail was set for Moses Danette, and he was remanded to the BOC pending advice of rights. The bankruptcy judge presiding over the auctioning of Hovenza's storage facility on St. Croix has decided to delay the case and has set up an evidentiary hearing on December 17th. The purpose is to investigate claims of collusion in the government of the Virgin Islands' selection of the preferred bidder, in this case, ArcLight. Governor Kenneth Mapp has issued a statement saying he acknowledged the judge's order, but also stands by his belief that ArcLight is the buyer that would best benefit the territory economically. Meanwhile, at the pesticide conference, as we reported on St. Thomas just this Wednesday, a memorandum of agreement was signed by the governor to formally establish a mutually beneficial working relationship between the United States Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, and the Environmental Protection Agency, Regency 2. The MOU centers around reducing carbon pollution and promoting climate change resilience in the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico.
And I was invited with the EPA and, again, my good friends from Interior to attend a climate change conference in Puerto Rico. Climate change and the evolution of the changing temperatures on the planet, because I know we have this big political conversation about whether climate change is real, but there's certainly global change. There's certainly something happening in the atmosphere.
In other news, the normalized relations between the United States and Cuba gives the territory an unprecedented opportunity to lead with strength and focus on cooperation among us. That's according to Senate Vice President Jeanette Millen-Young. She addressed participants of the 39th Caribbean Central America Actions annual conference. It's being held in Miami this week. Caribbean nations, territories, and Central America must grasp this golden opportunity to make normalized relations a win-win situation for all of us. Millen-Young said that there was a shared sentiment among the speakers at the conference. She said she will work with her colleagues, the delegate to Congress, and the governor to establish the policies and framework for this to happen. Well, European governments are currently holding security meetings in response to the terrorist attacks in Paris that claimed the lives of more than 100 people. A former VI French consul general, who was an integral part of the Virgin Islands community for 27 years, was in close proximity to the epicenter of that tragedy when it happened. NEWS2's April Knight has that story.
Odile de la Roe was on her way to Geneva in Switzerland when news of the Paris attacks broke out.
At the airport, people were opened their telephone, their cellular as soon as we landed. And Paris was really in a total shock. And all the stores were closed, everything was closed. The government, the police asked everybody to stay home.
De la Roe served as honorary French consul general for the Virgin Islands starting 2001. She left her mark in the French community and St. Thomas in general after living here for 27 years. De la Roe likens the Paris attacks to another tragedy that struck America in 2001.
It was just, it's just like probably the same reaction that we had when we were in St. Thomas, when we heard about, September 11, when you're not there.
According to De la Roe, because of the religion and nationalities that the terrorists claim to represent, the danger of discrimination is almost inevitable, and she stresses the need for the public to receive more of the correct and accurate information.
This will happen. I think this will happen because, it is true that it exacerbates the feeling, when you see someone wearing a burqa, people are much more sensitive now to Muslim conditions than they were before. The more education you have, the least you're going to react like that.
St. Thomas, being a melting pot of cultures, is in a unique position to respond appropriately, according to De la Roe.
If everybody's sensitive to that issue, just like everybody was very sensitive to September 11, if at least that can trigger a reaction of the entire world, we may go somewhere.
Reporting for NEWS2, I'm April Knight.
Meanwhile, attackers stormed a hotel in the African country of Mali today, initially taking about 170 people hostage. Hotel officials say 2 armed men initially locked in about 140 guests and 30 employees at the Radisson Blu in Bamako. Mali's state broadcaster says at least 80 of the hostages have since been freed. The UN says the attackers arrived in a vehicle or vehicles with diplomatic plates, firing guns as they entered the hotel. A UN official said 2 Malians and a French national were killed in the attack, but did not elaborate. No one has claimed responsibility for the incident. Mali's president cut short his trip to another African country to return to the Malian capital. Speaking in Malaysia, President Obama says the United States is monitoring the situation in Mali.
I express my deep sympathy and personal concern for all of the guests and employees affected by the terrible events which are happening today at the Radisson Blu Bamako in Mali. I speak on behalf of the entire Carlson Residor Hotel Group and extending our deep sympathy to the families, colleagues and friends of all those touched by today's events. At this point, we are monitoring developments locally and are in close contact with the authorities, as well as offering them all possible support. The safety and security of our guests and employees is our top priority. We've set up a direct telephone support line for the families of guests and employees to give them the maximum support. We'll continue to share updates on any new developments as soon as we have official confirmation.
And turn our attention to the eye and the economy. Here's a look at the New York Stock Exchange with our stock market watch. There are the numbers, everything up, the Dow 91, NASDAQ 31, S&P 500 up 7. Coming up on News 2, we have much more straight ahead. Comedian Oliver Samuels stopped in to encourage you to come out to check out that play this weekend. Divorce Papers, details coming up next.
Out a command center, a training camp, and other targets. Now, speaking at the G8 summit in
Welcome back. Having some knee pain, if it's minor, it's not a problem, but your doctor may recommend knee replacement surgery if you have severe knee pain and disability from rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis, or traumatic injury. A knee replacement can relieve pain and help you live a fuller, more active life. Well, a landmark surgical procedure is now available in the VI. Here's more into your health.
The knee is one of the largest and most complex joints in the body. The knee joins the thigh bone to the shin bone.
Gone on for probably 30 years now, we've been doing off-the-shelf knee replacements where people were segmented into a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5.
Implants are made of metal alloys, ceramic material, or strong plastic parts and can be joined to your bone by acrylic cement.
Well, as technology has grown and our understanding of how joints work and how they affect individuals, this new company has devised a way to actually make a customized knee implant that is tailored to the individual.
Dr. Brian Bacot is among the first surgeons in the U.S. to use this technology for total knee replacements.
We have begun giving people here customized total knee replacements, which is the latest in technology in joint replacements. It's utilized for patients who have arthritis, who are suffering from pain, disability, discomfort, and limitation in their abilities to do their daily activities.
Dr. Bacot says because of this landmark surgical procedure, patient outcomes are distinctly better.
This is a new evolution in the stage, and this is the first performed in the Caribbean. We performed the first surgery about a year ago, and it went very well. It was on I want to say a 70-ish-year-old patient. Center for a CT scan. The CT scan was constructed. It took us about 4 weeks to get it constructed, and we put that implant in. That patient has gone on to have a very successful knee replacement, be very happy with their function. You know, a knee replacement is not the God-made knee. It's artificial, but we want to try to reproduce as closely as possible what God gave them as far as anatomy, so that they can feel better and not know that they have an artificial knee inside.
In the spirit of giving, getting ready for Thanksgiving and the holidays, Senate President Neville James and members of the 31st Legislature and the employees of the legislature hosted a pre-Thanksgiving luncheon to serve those in need on St. Thomas and St. Croix. The luncheon was held on Wednesday, November 18th on the grounds of the Capitol building in St. Thomas and at the Frederick Said Vegetable Market on Thursday, November 19th on St. Croix. Many of the senators were seen with aprons, serving spoons, and smiles as they dished up the Thanksgiving dishes. A Thanksgiving celebration for the Boys and Girls Club, meanwhile, of St. Thomas, that's coming up. U.S. VI Hotel and Tourism Association presents the event on Tuesday, November 24th at 3:30 p.m. at the Oswald Harris Court Community Center. The association will be joined by a number of volunteers and members who not only assist in serving food, but they also prepare and will donate dishes. Acclaimed as the Caribbean greatest comedian and actor, Oliver Samuels returns to the VI in a play called Divorce Papers. He'll be at the BCB. It's a family-friendly comedy drama. The play has captivated audiences in other Caribbean islands and the U.S. Here is Oliver with more.
The wife and husband live together. They've been married for about 34 years. And somewhere within that span of their existence, something happened. Their husband
had an indiscretion.
Is it an indiscretion?
It's really wonderful. It has a lot of messages, and like Oliver said, really for the whole family. Very beautiful.
Again, don't miss that. That's Sunday at BCB. UBI's president, Dr. David Hall, and 9 outstanding individuals employed in the tourism industry were honored November 14th at the USVI Hotel and Tourism Association's 14th annual Tommy Star Awards and Gala. Nearly 300 guests gathered at the Frenchman's Reef and Morningstar Marriott Resort to celebrate the association. They were thrilled to honor Dr. Hall with the Elite Award of Excellence. They say his dedication to education and his work with hospitality and tourism have contributed greatly to the territory. The Tommy Star Award of Excellence is presented to a Virgin Islander who has made a significant contribution to the tourism industry. 9 additional awards were given to hospitality and tourism employees who have demonstrated an unwavering dedication to tourism. Congratulations to all the honorees. The 2015 Agricultural Fair is right around the corner this coming Saturday and Sunday. Be sure you're at the Reichel grounds for the annual 2-day event highlighting our local farmers and a wide array of their products. But you're in for a treat because you'll also get a chance to catch an eco-friendly fashion show and some other water activities in addition.
They're going to create costumes made from reusable materials. And that costume, the costumes that they're going to make are going to be featured in a competition right after the opening ceremony. Since it's called Art by the Sea, you'll be able to walk across to the beach from the fairgrounds and enjoy kayaking and other sea activities.
And be sure to count on 2 for the highlights. Now, all of us here at NEWS2, we're celebrating a special anniversary. 15 years ago this week, NEWS2 was first on the air, went on the air here in the Virgin Islands. When we first got started, we had several locally produced shows. Many of them have won local and national awards, and we appreciate you, our viewers, sticking with us and helping us grow. We will continue to move forward and strive to bring you the best in local news, weather, and sports every night here on CBS TV2. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and CBSTV2VI.com. Stick around, your NEWS2 AccuWeather forecast comes your way next.